find underwears that were men's briefs in the walk-in closet.
For over a decade, she scrubbed the floors and made the beds inside the most famous estate in pop history. She saw everything, and she said nothing. But Adrian McManus, the woman who served as Michael Jackson's personal maid at Neverland Ranch, decided to break decades of silence with her most explosive testimony yet. And it has changed how people see Michael Jackson. What did she say, and why did she decide to speak out? Join us as we uncover what the Neverland Maid finally revealed about Michael Jackson. The woman who cleaned Michael Jackson's secrets. In 1990, a young woman named Adrian McManus walked through the gates of Neverland Ranch for the first time. She was 28 years old and urgently needed a job. And she had no idea that the next 4 years of her life would reportedly become the most haunting chapter of a story still unfolding decades later. Adrian was hired as Michael Jackson's personal maid, responsible for cleaning his private bedroom suite, doing his laundry, making his bed, and maintaining every inch of the most private space belonging to the most famous entertainer on the planet. It was not a glamorous job. It was intimate, routine, and allegedly deeply disturbing. Neverland was not a normal home. Michael had purchased the sprawling 2,698-acre estate in Santa Barbara County, California, in 1988 for a reported sum of close to $20 million. He transformed the property into a private amusement park, complete with a Ferris wheel, a carousel, bumper cars, a roller coaster, a petting zoo filled with exotic animals, and a private train station. The entrance featured a floral clock modeled after Disneyland and an archway with the word Neverland spelled out in gold. There were speakers hidden inside rocks and flower beds that played music constantly. It was named after the fictional world of Peter Pan, the boy who never grew up. And Michael reportedly saw himself in that character more than most fans ever realized. For Adrian, the fairy tale exterior hid a very different reality behind closed doors. She was tasked with cleaning the most intimate areas of the property, areas that very few people ever accessed. Michael's bedroom suite was off-limits to nearly all staff members. But Adrian was the exception. She went in every morning after Michael went out. She was the one who saw the room in its raw, unfiltered state. And according to her later testimony, what she found inside those rooms would haunt her for the rest of her life. She allegedly spent 4 years watching, cleaning, and staying silent. Then, everything changed. What could possibly make a working mother endure years of alleged discomfort without saying a single word to the authorities? What she allegedly found inside the bedroom? Every morning, after Michael had gone to sleep, she went in to clean the room. She changed the bed sheets, emptied the trash, and said she found things that made her feel sick. The bedroom also had a private jacuzzi, and Adrian claimed that what she often found in and around it worried her deeply. In a 2019 interview with 60 Minutes Australia, Adrian made a series of explosive claims. She alleged that she regularly found children's underwear mixed with Michael's own clothing on the bedroom floor and floating in his private jacuzzi. She claimed there was an unusual amount of a particular lubricant found throughout the property, including in golf carts that Michael allegedly used to drive around the ranch with young visitors. Adrian also alleged that she was asked to laminate photos of undressed infants that were reportedly displayed in the bedroom. These claims have never been independently verified, and the Jackson estate has consistently and firmly denied all allegations of misconduct. Adrian reportedly recalled seeing young boys spending the night in Michael's bedroom regularly. She claimed that the children would wear Michael's clothing and leave their own belongings scattered throughout his personal space. One child she specifically named in her court testimony was a young Australian choreographer, Wade Robson, who she said visited the ranch frequently during 1992 when he was approximately 10 or 11 years old. Adrian allegedly mentioned that Wade's personal items were regularly found in the bedroom during her morning cleaning routine. She described a pattern that recurred over the years she worked at the ranch. She also claimed she witnessed what she described as inappropriate physical contact between Michael and the children who visited the estate. She said that she saw him holding children on his lap in ways she found concerning, kissing them on the cheek and mouth, and that the physical closeness she observed went beyond what she considered normal. These are allegations that Michael Jackson denied throughout his lifetime, and that his estate continues to deny today. Macaulay Culkin, one of the children Adrian specifically mentioned in her testimony, has repeatedly and publicly stated that Michael never acted inappropriately toward him. But the question that haunted fans for decades was not just about what Adrian allegedly found. It was about why she reportedly kept it all to herself for so long. The threats that kept her silent for years. Adrian McManus has repeatedly claimed that the reason she never reported her concerns to the police was simple and terrifying. She says she was threatened. She mentioned that Michael Jackson's bodyguards told her directly that they could hire someone to end her life, that they would do unthinkable things to her, and that her body would never be found. In her interview with 60 Minutes Australia reporter Liam Bartlett, Adrian recalled the exact words she says were used against her. She claimed the threats were designed to make sure no one on the staff ever talked about what happened behind closed doors at Neverland. Adrian also claimed that Michael knew the staff was afraid to speak up. She said everyone at Neverland followed an unwritten rule of silence, and every employee understood there could be consequences for speaking out. According to former Neverland chef Philip Lamarck, the staff competed against each other. He reportedly said that employees were always watching one another, and it was hard to make friends because many people were looking for ways to benefit from the information they had. He said the atmosphere at Neverland was toxic, filled with suspicion, secrecy, and the feeling that people were always being watched. Multiple staff members allegedly had suspicions about Michael's behavior, but nobody wanted to be the first to say anything. The fear was not just about losing a paycheck. It was about something far worse. And for 4 years, Adrian says she did exactly what was expected of her. She cleaned, stayed quiet, and did everything to forget what she saw. But Adrian was not the only employee who allegedly felt trapped. She was part of a group of 5 former Neverland workers who would eventually come forward with claims about what they had witnessed. This group included security guards, maintenance workers, and other staff members who all reportedly shared similar concerns. Together, they would become known by a name that still divides Michael Jackson fans today. And the decision they made next would reportedly cost them everything. The Neverland 5 and the lawsuit nobody wants to talk about. In the spring of 1994, 5 former Neverland employees went public. Adrian McManus, security guards Ralph Chacon and Kasim Abdul, and 2 other former staff members, Sandy Doms and Melanie Bagnall, collectively filed a lawsuit against Michael Jackson for wrongful termination. They became known as the Neverland 5. Their claims sent shockwaves through the entertainment world. They mentioned that they had witnessed Michael behaving inappropriately with children during their time at the ranch, and that they were fired for knowing too much. Their attorney filed demands of $16 million against Michael's estate. But here is where the story gets complicated in a way that fans on both sides rarely discuss. The Neverland 5 did not initially report their concerns to law enforcement. Instead, they hired a civil attorney who reportedly told them that the only way to finance their lawsuit was to sell stories to tabloid outlets. Several members of the group admitted in later court testimony that they sold stories to tabloid publications, some of which they acknowledged were fabricated or exaggerated. Adrian herself admitted on the stand that she signed contracts to share details about Michael's marriage to Lisa Marie Presley, despite having no personal knowledge of their relationship. Another former employee, Chef Philip Lamarck, reportedly sought $500,000 from tabloids to tell a story about Michael and a famous child actor, which the child actor himself later denied under oath. Michael Jackson fought back aggressively. His legal team argued that the Neverland Five were disgruntled former employees motivated entirely by money. After a lengthy 6-month trial, the jury sided with Michael. He was awarded $60,000 in damages, and the former employees were collectively ordered to pay over $1.4 million in legal judgments. Adrian was individually assessed $30,000 after she was found to have taken a sketch of Elvis Presley that Michael had drawn and sold it to a tabloid outlet. She insisted she found it in the trash and did not consider it valuable. Ralph Chacon was ordered to pay $25,000 for allegedly stealing property, which he claimed was only a candy bar. The loss in court devastated the Neverland Five financially and destroyed their credibility in the eyes of many observers. But Adrian McManus was far from finished talking. And the next chapter of her story would allegedly unfold in the most watched courtroom drama of the decade. The trial that put her testimony under a microscope. In 2005, Michael Jackson stood trial on 14 charges, including child molestation, supplying alcohol to a minor, and conspiracy to imprison a family at Neverland Ranch. The case centered around a 13-year-old boy named Gavin Arvizo and became one of the biggest celebrity trials in American history. If found guilty, Michael faced at least 20 years in prison. Prosecutors called Adrian McManus as a witness to support their case, and she took the stand to testify against her former employer before the entire world. Adrian repeated her claims about finding children's belongings in Michael's bedroom and witnessing physical contact she considered inappropriate. She described specific incidents involving young visitors to the ranch and painted a picture of a home where, allegedly, there were no boundaries between the adult superstar and the children who idolized him. She also testified about seeing Michael kiss actor Macaulay Culkin on the cheek while his hand was allegedly on the child's body. Her testimony was emotional, detailed, and deeply troubling. And for a moment, it seemed like it might be the testimony that turned the jury against the king of pop. Then defense attorney Tom Mesereau began his cross-examination, and everything fell apart. Mesereau systematically dismantled Adrian's credibility piece by piece. He pointed out that she had testified under oath in a 1993 deposition that she had never seen Michael behave inappropriately with any child, including Jordan Chandler. Adrian acknowledged this was true and claimed she had lied during that earlier testimony to protect herself. Tom Mesereau also highlighted the failed Neverland Five lawsuit, the tabloid story sales, the theft finding against her, and a fraud finding involving her and her husband defrauding 3 children of over $30,000 from their estate. He argued that Adrian was a proven liar with a documented history of trying to profit from false claims about Michael Jackson. After 14 weeks of testimony, the jury reached a unanimous verdict of not guilty on all 14 charges. Michael was acquitted. Reports later revealed that 9 of 12 jurors voted to acquit on the initial ballot. Adrian walked out of the courtroom with her credibility in tatters, and her claims dismissed by many as the desperate fabrications of a disgruntled former employee. But she reportedly never stopped believing that she had told the truth. And years later, a documentary would give her allegations new life in a way nobody expected. the documentary that forced the world to listen again. On June 25, 2009, Michael Jackson passed away from acute propofol intoxication at his rented Los Angeles mansion. He was 50 years old. His personal physician, Conrad Murray, had been administering the powerful surgical anesthetic as a sleep aid in the weeks leading up to Michael's planned comeback concert series in London. Murray was later convicted of involuntary manslaughter and served just under 2 years in prison. The Los Angeles County coroner ruled the death a homicide. The King of Pop was gone, and many assumed that the allegations against him would fade away with him. They were wrong. In January 2019, a 4-hour documentary called Leaving Neverland premiered at the Sundance Film Festival and changed the conversation around Michael Jackson forever. Directed by Dan Reed, the film featured 2 men, Australian choreographer Wade Robson and former child actor James Safechuck, who alleged in graphic detail that Michael had abused them throughout their childhoods. Wade was the same boy whose belongings Adrian McManus had testified about finding in Michael's bedroom decades earlier. The documentary won the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Documentary and triggered a global media backlash against Jackson's legacy. Radio stations in multiple countries pulled his music from rotation. The Simpsons removed an episode featuring him. Fashion houses distanced themselves from his image. Adrian McManus resurfaced during this period, giving renewed interviews that supported the documentary's allegations. She spoke to Daily Mail TV and later sat down with 60 Minutes Australia for a world-exclusive interview, where she repeated and expanded on her earlier claims. She alleged that Michael was a manipulator and that she believed he had filmed his alleged activities with children on hidden VHS tapes, though she admitted she had no proof of this. In January 2025, she appeared on the Extra Minutes podcast for an extended conversation that once again brought her claims back into the spotlight. The Jackson estate responded each time forcefully, calling the accusers liars and describing the documentary as a character assassination designed to extract money from a deceased artist who could no longer defend himself. The battle over Michael Jackson's legacy was no longer just about music. It was about whether the world could separate the art from the allegations. And with a major biopic and a new trial on the horizon, the fight was far from over. Why her words still divide fans to this day. Adrian McManus remains one of the most controversial figures in the entire Michael Jackson saga. Supporters of Michael point to her contradictory sworn testimonies, the failed lawsuit, the tabloid story sales, the fraud finding, and the theft findings as proof that she cannot be trusted. They argue that she is an opportunist who has spent decades trying to profit from allegations that a jury already rejected. Michael's attorney Tom Mesereau has stated publicly that he is completely convinced Michael never harmed a child, and has called the accusers opportunists looking to make money. The Jackson estate has maintained that Michael was innocent, and that every allegation against him has been motivated by financial gain. People who believe Adrian see the situation very differently. They point to the many allegations made against Michael over the years and say that several accusers gave similar accounts. They also note that, during a 2003 interview with journalist Ed Bradley, Michael openly said he had shared his bed with children who were not his own. They believe the power Michael had at Neverland made it very difficult for employees to speak out. They also argue that the legal system did not fully consider the fear and intimidation that allegedly kept witnesses from coming forward. Adrian has said that if Michael were still alive, she would tell him everything to his face. She has also never taken back her claims, even though she says they have cost her financially and personally over the past 30 years. The stakes around these allegations have only grown higher in recent years. In April 2026, the Michael Jackson biopic Michael, starring his nephew Jafar Jackson, was released to massive commercial success, grossing over $900 million worldwide and surpassing Bohemian Rhapsody as the highest-grossing music biographical film in history. The film, directed by Antoine Fuqua and produced with the cooperation of the Jackson estate, was initially planned to address the allegations but underwent significant reshoots, costing tens of millions of dollars after legal complications forced the removal of key storylines involving Jordan Chandler. Meanwhile, Wade Robson and James Safechuck's combined lawsuit against Jackson's companies is reportedly scheduled for trial in February 2028, meaning the legal battle over what really happened at Neverland is still far from settled. Adrian McManus allegedly told interviewers that she felt a responsibility to speak before it was too late. She said that the truth about what happened inside Neverland deserved to be heard by the world regardless of what it cost her personally or how many people refused to believe her. Whether fans see her as a brave whistleblower or a discredited liar chasing a payday, one thing remains undeniable. The woman who cleaned Michael Jackson's bedroom forced the world to ask questions that the music industry was never comfortable answering. And those questions are still being asked in courtrooms, documentary screens, and movie theaters today. Should Adrian McManus be believed after decades of contradictory statements? Or has her credibility been permanently destroyed by the courts? And does the world owe it to Michael Jackson's legacy to keep asking these questions? Or is it time to let the King of Pop rest in peace? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.